stop by.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, all the time.
I'm one of them. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. Except I showed up with the camera. So I'll just go ahead and get started with it, guys.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ayoo Chill podcast. My name is Beto, and it's a little bit different today. We're not in the studio today, funny enough, but we're still in Boonton, which is crazy. It's funny the things that you find in this town, and sometimes the universe just blesses you with beautiful people, and you get to see like what magic can happen. So today, guys, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, you could go ahead.
Go first.
I'm Jen Mobley.
I'm Chris Mobley, and this is our daughter.
Calliope Sky.
Nice. And so what caught my eye when I first came out here was just like I saw two buses and then I saw all these like, you know, these tie-dye like, you know, just shirts and clothing just hanging outside, and I was like, oh, these people are just automatically like dope. Like I gotta talk to them. So why don't you start off with telling me where you guys are from?
I was born in Baltimore, spent the first, 9 years in there in Baltimore, and then moved to just outside of Philadelphia for the next 10 years. And yeah, that's where I'm from.
I was born in California, raised in Maryland, and I left Maryland maybe 15 years ago or so, and moved to North Carolina, and we've been traveling for the past 10 years in these buses, and it's been a huge adventure.
That's fantastic. Actually, you would love my studio partner. He's actually from Maryland. I don't know exactly where in Maryland, but he always talks about it. I think he's actually heading there like next week to drive down there to visit family.
Yeah.
He lives like up here in New Jersey full time, but like now he's just been like chilling around. That's great. Originally from California.
Yeah, I was born in San Diego.
Wow.
My dad was in the Navy, and he was 18 when I was born. He went to the military just as we got people over here. My dad joined the Navy, learned how to be an architect, and
Yes, sir.
moved to Maryland.
Yes, sir.
Grew up in Maryland, and I've been traveling around the United States for
The past 10 years.
Yeah, for the past 10 years in
That's
these
great.
buses.
That's
Yeah.
great. So where originally did you? Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's we don't have to go completely back in time, but let's go around like high school, right? So high school, you know, everybody originally like, you know, thinks about going to college or like, you know, pursuing like their lifelong career, right?
Yeah,
Was that how it was for you guys at first, or
No.
was it like
No, absolutely not.
completely different?
Absolutely not.
So
I never really thought about college. I actually always hated high school. I was I don't know, like a goth girl in high school, and I didn't really fit in. I went to an all-Jewish high school in Maryland, and I hated the school bus. I hated everything, and now I live on a school bus, and I don't know. Now I can't really imagine anything differently.
No, that's perfect. How about you, my friend?
I grew up in a pretty well-to-do family. You know, we had a real nice place outside of Westchester called Chad. It was a little town called Chad's Ford in Pennsylvania, and my parents had a nice house out there. Went to a good school, and I don't know, probably about 15, 16, I just decided that school was not my thing. I knew that there just had to be something different out there for me to do, and I hung around there for as long as I could, and then as soon as I turned 18, I was on my own, free. I had a car. I literally drove to San Diego, California, to Ocean Beach, and I just wanted something different. You know, I wanted to experience life in a different way than going to school, and then graduating from high school, and then going to college, and then becoming, you know, an architect or a doctor or a lawyer, or, you know, something that along the lines of more so where my parents wanted to push me, and where my parents wanted their children to, you know, become educated and
Their version of success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, the school being in the boxes, and, you know, being in the classrooms and being around people that I didn't really like or didn't even know, it wasn't for me, and I knew it at a young age that I wanted to do something differently. And while at that young age I really had no idea what it was that I wanted to do, I I ultimately knew that it wasn't going to school to continue education to become that what my parents, were dreaming, that my parents dream of what they wanted me to become. I don't know. I've done all kinds of different careers. I've worked in electromechanical repair, fixing the vending machines and the communication for lottery equipment in Illinois and Kentucky and all over the place. Mainly, my background is satellite communication, and I would install residential and commercial satellite-based internet at people's houses, and I did that for almost a decade. And I just got to the point with that too, where I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do, and so we just kept moving, searching for something to do with our lives that had more meaning than what the opportunity opportunities that had presented themselves to us to that point.
And it's crazy. I feel like no matter what time period you find in like the history, I want to say the history of the United States, but at least probably like around like maybe like I don't know. Actually, I'd probably say like there's always been people who kind of did their own thing, not stick with the normal, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like for especially like nowadays, like it's hard for people to kind of do what you guys are doing. But funny enough, I feel like TikTok, Instagram, and especially ever since the pandemic, like everybody's talking about van life. Everybody's talking about like going off grid, doing this own thing. But you guys have been doing this for you said 10 years
10
now?
years, yeah.
So when did you guys meet? And did you guys meet doing this, or did you guys?
We actually met in Baltimore, Maryland, in Little Italy. There's a restaurant out there called Sabatino's, and they've been there for about 70 years. And we met waiting tables there. We've been married for 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Our relationship is old enough to smoke weed now.
That's great. That's great. So, so you meet in Maryland. So where were you guys at life during that point? Like, what were your guys' like ambitions during that time?
I had bought a house in Baltimore. I was taking care of my mom. She had moved in with me, and I think you were in an apartment or something, and just
Yeah, I had a house that I'd rented. I had long since come back from California, came back to Baltimore, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to Bartender's Academy, learned how to bartend, and then got a job at a restaurant, bartending, and then went from bartending to waiting tables, and then quit that job, and then I went and got a job at the place that she was working at, not because she was working there, but just because it was a different restaurant. I wanted to wait tables. I wasn't making enough money bartending, and the place I was working at was one of those like I don't know, just upper scale type Italian restaurant. And the people who ran it, they were decent people, but not the kind of people that I wanted to continue to work for. And yeah, so I went and got a job at the same restaurant as her, and I don't know, I'd say maybe a couple weeks to a month or so after working there, I asked her what she was doing on her day off, and she really didn't know I was like asking her what, like trying to line things up, and she's like, I don't know, and just kind of like skipped away. And so I kept pursuing her, and finally I got we
5 kids later.
Wow. I mean, I guess that's a lesson though, like don't give up, don't like give up on the first try, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So how long was it? So you guys start dating. How long was it until when you guys started dating until you guys decided bus life is what I want to do?
For quite a long time. I mean, probably almost 10 years, at least.
About 10 years. We were just doing other things, and he was actually working in Kentucky, doing satellite work,
Mm-hmm.
and then found the bus on the side of the road. The guy who owned it had passed away. It was his hunting cabin. His brothers were selling it, and we bought it for.
We were living in a tent.
We were living
at
in
the time.
Wow. Okay.
We were
in a
renting a
campground.
house, and the house was $900 a month plus all the other expenses, and we just
couldn't keep up with the
couldn't
Joneses,
keep up with
and
it.
it was tiring.
It was just I was working 6 days a week to make ends meet, and we just were like, man, there's got to be something different out here. There's got to be some other way of life that we can live. And like she said, we were living in a tent for 2 months at this campground in Kentucky, and I was working as a field service tech for the Kentucky State Lottery. and I was driving all over the place all the time. And I mean, literally 15 minutes from the campground we were staying at was the first bus, Althea, that it was just sitting on the side of the road. And I tried to get a hold of the guy for probably, it took me a month to actually finally get the guy to come out because he worked nights. And so he was sleeping during the day, and then I was working, and like our schedules just never quite lined up. But I stayed persistent on it. I was like, because she had just, I don't know, she started looking into like tiny homes and like alternative lifestyle, and she was like, what do you think about like getting a school bus or like, you know, getting a Skoolie and converting it? And you know, I was like, all right. You know,
we didn't know anybody who had done it, or we didn't know anybody who was on a bus, and and we converted it into a home, and it cost us $2,300, and we actually we were in that, I guess, that predicament because we were broke so much, and you know, and now it's like a trendy thing. It's like an Instagram thing. I don't know. Everybody wants to live in the bus, you know, live in a bus, and we have a Facebook group called Skoolie Planet. There's like 77,000 people in it right now, and when we started 6 years ago, like I remember like when it was 16,000, I'm like, wow, this is like gaining momentum. Like people are into this. People are tired of being exploited at work and tired of just, you know, working inside of a building all day and not knowing if it's raining or sunny outside, you know, never seeing their kids, no vacation, no savings. And it made sense to us to pursue this lifestyle, and
we just wanted a simpler lifestyle, you know, something that didn't have the recurring bills, you know, every month that we were, you know, worried that we were going to lose our house that we were raising our kids in, or, you know, the car was going to get repossessed, or, you know, that we weren't going to be able to pay the insurance that month. And, you know, we were just over it. You know, my honestly, one of the big determining factors to moving away from like the corporate lifestyle and moving into the lifestyle that we live now in the school buses was my dad worked for the same company, ARI, in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, ironically enough, for almost 20 years. And 2 weeks before Christmas, he went in to go to work, and they said, hey, we've eliminated your position, so you no longer have a job. You can keep the car for 6 months, the company car, and then you got to return it. And they had just taken out like a $250,000 loan on their house to put an addition on, and they've been working on this house for, I don't know, probably 10 years, and it was like their dream home that overlooked the Chesapeake Bay, you know, really nice place, and they lost it. They had to sell it because he lost his job, you know, combined with the 2008 like recession, and you know, they couldn't afford to live in, you know, pay the bills and live in the house and the lifestyle that they've been living. And, you know, I didn't want to be that same person working for a company, dedicating my life to something for 20 years only to go walk in one day and they shit can you, you know, you know, no pension, no retirement, like everything is just gone. Like
and it could happen to anybody.
Yeah. Anytime, you know. A corporation just they can, why are they going to pay, you know, how X amount of dollars per week or month or what, you know, whatever it is to a guy that's 60 when they can bring in a fresh 20-year-old that, you know, is fresh out of college and pay him a lot less, or even as an intern, you know.
Yeah, no, I think I'm so sorry to hear that. It's weird because that's kind of the same feeling I got when I quit all my jobs, like back in like January, because you know, I realized that there's no real incentive to stay anywhere unless it feels like family, you know.
He was just talking about this, that nowadays they give you zero reason to stick around. There's no benefit, there's no incentives, there's no hey, if you sell this much you'll get a bonus, or there's nothing. It's like a flatlined, and I see so many people who are just so exploited at these jobs, and I don't know. We just didn't want to be in that situation.
Well, the reward's gone. You know, back in the you know, the 60s, 70s, you know, there was a reward. You worked, you know, for a company for 20, 25 years, and your house was paid off, and you had a retirement that you could expect in every single month, and
Social
you could
Security,
live off of it,
pension.
You know? Now that, you know, does that still exist? Yes, but they could yank that out from underneath of you before you get there. And
the age of retirement keeps going up, and by the time you retire, you are too old to go on vacation and climb mountains and go hiking, and that's why you need to do it now. And I feel like I really feel like we escaped the matrix, and They call it Babylon. Like I feel like we've escaped Babylon, even though we still rely on diesel. To be like on our own. I think I just swallowed a bug. To be like on our own schedule, to be able to wake up when we want to, and create art and just set up and meet people. And I think that's like the main goal. It's like just like socialization and friends, and everywhere we go, we know people, or we meet new friends. And I don't know. I just I see a lot of stuck people. And when you're asking about education earlier, I had gone to college for 3 years. I thought I wanted to be an elementary school art teacher. First, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but then I thought about being an art teacher, and then I started working in the public school system, and I just saw the how some students were treated differently than other students, and just how teachers were, and it just really turned me off to the whole thing. And I'm really glad, because I would have been stuck in a school like the thing I avoided my whole life, and
I could feel
didn't fit in, and they never tell you in school, like, hey, do you want to be a tie-dye artist? Do you want to be? No, you got to be a cop, a lawyer, an attorney, like, something that makes you good money. But you could make so much money and still have a shitty time. You can live, we live comfortably. And we still travel all over the place, and we don't need wheelbarrows full of money. You learn to
we need busfuls of money.
But you learn to adapt. Like you shop, like we shop, like here and there, like every few days or so, and we don't live an extravagant lifestyle, and we're still happier than the guy who might be driving around the Bentley who doesn't own that Bentley. Like people are still tied to these, like tied to the bank. That bank owes them, and I just. I don't want any credit, I just want to buy stuff outright, and like no one's over your head. Like, when's electricity due? When's your bills, and that causes anxiety in people. And then you see a nation of people, hooked on pharmaceutical drugs because they think they're depressed, and they're not. They just need to get out of their lifestyle that they're currently stuck in. And then I've got a friend who works in the mall, and it's like a store within a big store, and I don't know, just not to not see the sun, or like watch the clouds, or see the birds go by. I mean, I feel like it's I feel like a lot of people will say, I wish I could do this, and they really can. They really can do this. And like we started doing this because we were broke, and we were tired of being broke. And I tell people, you can do it, and if you want to follow us around and we can caravan, like I can show you how you can do it. And I just feel like it's a break from the rat race that I see so many people stuck in.
Yeah.
I feel like I found some kind of escape, and I don't know.
No, I definitely feel that, and it's funny because a lot of things you said, like it brings up, like I actually was gonna go to school. Well, I was going to school. I started off going to school to be a music teacher.
Yeah.
And my father, my mom, my uncle, my cousins—they're all teachers.
Oh, okay.
And they all teach within the New Jersey public school system. Listen, I to the people who are teachers, like, bless y'all, because I don't know how they do it in this day and age. Like,
I don't know.
There's no incentive. There's no real will to teach kids, and education is one of the most important things you could give. And I think what you guys get from, like, traveling around, and even like myself, it's funny, I feel the same way, but I kind of wanted to play the system that I'm in. Like, so for example, I kind of live right now. Well, I didn't spend like basically any of my money for the past like 5-6 years, and I would just work, and I would just put it away, because my parents always told me when I was little, they're just save your money. I was really, really fortunate. I went to school, and I got a scholarship to go to school because I played this instrument called the euphonium. It's like a mini tuba, and it's not a popular instrument, because I don't know if you guys have heard of it before.
I have not.
No, sure haven't.
No.
So like they gave me a scholarship for it, and then I went to school pretty close to free. So then when I left school, I didn't have any debt. So then all this money that I had saved up, I was like, cool, like what can I do with this? And so I just decided to like invest in my own business. And then the money that I spent on the business, I do what's called credit card churning. So I take credit cards and I look at what value point bonuses they give for opening them up. And then I use them, and then the points back, like if you read in the fine print, like about switching the credit cards and different points, because different credit cards are owned by like sometimes the same company, and they'll give you more points for switching one point to another credit card, whatever. So I've traveled within just the past year. I went to California. I was in San Francisco. Then I flew down to LA. Then I was in Houston, drove to Austin, then drove to San Antonio, then drove back to Austin, then drove back to Houston. I was in Florida. I went to Orlando, Miami, and then I've been traveling around like this area a little bit, kind of just driving around, just trying to see stuff. And I think most out of anything, like just driving around, talking to people, getting to know people, and like feeling their spirit is like an education that they don't teach you in school. You know what I mean?
No,
that's right.
they don't.
They
Sure.
don't. They don't teach you. So let me ask you guys this: how is it? How is you guys' like not your personal family life, for example, like everybody who travels with you in the bus, but like growing up and like people seeing you this is not a, I know this is not a regular thing for anybody to see. So did you kind of get like backlash from like your family or friends, or was it more supportive?
Oh yeah.
His family didn't understand it. My dad thought
My
it was
family
really cool.
Still doesn't understand it.
Yeah. His family, like he said, he came from like a kind of like a wealthier family, a well-to-do family, and his twin brother is like what was he?
He works in real estate now. He sells waterfront real estate for the same real estate company that my mom works for.
Nice.
She's also a real estate agent.
But the mentality of like money equals happiness, and the big house, and the all this stuff, and it's almost like this status thing that not everyone can achieve or wants to achieve that. No, not everyone wants to work at a bank, no matter how much money they pay you. They never really got it.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, like I don't know, I hadn't called my mom in, I don't know, probably a year and a half or something. My dad died, probably
Sorry to hear that.
about a year, like a year and a half, like almost 2 years ago, and I didn't go to the funeral, just for the not because I didn't love my dad, because without my parents raising me the way that they raised me, I was I went to Boy Scouts, I became an Eagle Scout in the troop, and we had it was a very loving environment, but it was an environment that they were controlling, and they continued to try and control that, and they're always worried about how we're raising our kids and what kind of life are we giving them, and it was whenever I called, there wasn't that warm fuzzy feeling like, oh, I'm so glad you called, I love you, how have you been, what's going on in your life. It was instantly critical of everything that we do. Well, why are you doing it that way? Why are you and a couple years prior to that, I had asked them, hey, if we're going to continue to have a relationship, you have got to stop criticizing my life and how I'm living, and my wife, and how we're choosing to raise our family, because it's our choice. It's our choice to raise our family how we see fit, and how we want our kids to grow up with a different perspective on life, rather than the one that's provided with the normal education of going to public school. And the mom and dad are now both working full-time jobs. They you go to work, you drop your kids off at school, you come home, I don't know, I didn't want that for my kids. I wanted to be around my family 24/7, because I love my family. I love my kids, and that I love my wife, and I wanted to be around them. I was working 6 days a week, like sometimes 12, 16-hour days, and never saw my family. And I just saw where that road was leading, and didn't want to go down that road. So like my family is not supportive at all. They'll tell you they are, but they aren't.
Their happiness looks different than our happiness. It's
which is okay.
Yeah.
I feel people don't like really grasp that yet.
Yeah.
And I think I'm lucky at a young age that I'm at right now, and I'm sure your kids, when they get to a point where they realize what they want to do with life, they'll have a head start in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I come from a Latino background. I'm Peruvian.
Yeah.
And so my parents are first generation immigrants.
Ah.
So all they knew when they came to this country was work, 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 work. And it's fun. My mom passed away now, like almost like a little bit more than 2 years ago, and she worked like nonstop, and my family had only gone on one vacation together, and that whole vacation was super stingy and full of anxiety and arguments over what should we spend, what we can't spend.
Yeah.
And you come back, and it's like I remember like a few good things of that vacation, but then I have a lot of memory of just the money problem, the money, instead of just sitting there and enjoying it for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, when my mom passed away, you know, she didn't get to use anything she worked for,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm just and that's kind of when I had that aha moment,
Yeah.
you know, and where I see where you guys are and where I feel a lot of people don't understand. You know, I have a friend, well, used to have a friend, and he always cared about money. And for me, I had always worked to where I had enough, but then I would just save whatever I had on the side because I grew up with the mentality of just save, 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 save. Don't spend what you have, right? And I just realized from the ages of 18, well, not even from the ages of 16 when I started working to 21, I was like, well, I have all this money and I just don't use it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you add in inflation and your money loses value and then you get into economic and it's just like, well, what are we doing? You know? And I'm sure that, like, you know, if any of your kids are like, Mom, Dad, I want a car. You know what I mean? Well, it might be hard,
Yeah.
but you'll work towards it
Yeah.
and you'll
Yeah.
eventually get it done, you know?
Yeah.
And my dad always argued with me. He was always like, oh, but what if there's an emergency? And I was like, well, why don't we just try to live as healthy lifestyle as we can? You know, why don't we try to like not get into those situations the best we can? And when we do, we'll deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
And then see what happens there. Because I think out of
Yeah.
all the people you've met, I'm sure you've learned so much. So
Yeah, we've had, you know, we've met a lot of people on the road. There's a band called Wookie Foot that we listen to a lot, and there's a Wookie Foot that they say you can't, basically it's like you can't put a trailer on a hearse,
Yeah.
and you can't take it with you when you go. So why not live life to the fullest and you know,
Live each day as if it were your last.
yeah, your last day.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I wanted to show my kids that you don't have to, you know, flip burgers at Hardee's. You don't have to do these stupid little jobs. These like, you know, these jobs that you just scrape by on. And I don't know. I just feel like people are so exploited, and you don't have to do that. You can find out something that you're find something that you're passionate about. And I really think that if you can travel when you're young, when you still have it in you, like you still have all this energy in you to travel. I think it's sad in this country. Like this country, America, used to be like the golden road. You know, the best country, and you can make a life here. And I think a lot of people have just discovered that it really sucks. It's it's just, I don't know. I guess we're talking about the rat race. It's not like it used to be. It's not what it used to be. It's like I don't know. Just people are stressed, and I don't know how they're. I don't know. I just wanted to show my kids there's a different way.
For sure, and I think
live.
in the end, even if they wanted to, like say any of your kids are just like, oh no, I want a house and I want a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, there's a road to go through that.
Absolutely.
And it's weird too, because I'm honestly under the belief now that like whatever you really set your mind to, if you really truly want it, there's a will, there's a way. And you know, I give extreme examples all the time, and people kind of hate on me for a little bit. But like, for example, there's people who go to jail for like 20 years.
Yeah.
They get out and they might have gone for a horrible reason, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
come out and they've done nothing, literally nothing with their life in 20 years,
Yeah.
except like maybe educate themselves
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit, read books.
Yeah.
Come out, real estate agent, millionaire
yeah.
within a couple years.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And is it a rare instance? Kind of, you know. But there's a lot of people who, like, you could become a real estate agent, you sell a couple houses,
Yeah.
take that money, invest it in a business, and then you're good for the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
I always talk about, there's this company called Life is Good, and you probably have seen these T-shirts, and it's just like this cartoon drawing of like a guy in a kayak, or
It's like the stick figure one.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
and
know
it
what
says,
you're
just
talking
says
about.
Life is Good, and
Yeah.
it's so simple. Those two guys, I think they were brothers. I always think about these guys. They were like selling these T-shirts out of their van, living in their van for like 5 years, until one day they were like at some, I don't know, they were selling T-shirts somewhere, and they sold out, and it almost scared them. And they're like, wow, like we're on to something, like something is happening. And now they don't even have to work anymore. And you know, going from your van where, you know, you're crowded in there and it's not the life that you want, and then all of a sudden, like it's just a household name. You see these shirts everywhere, and you see them in Cabela's and Tractor Supply. They're everywhere, and you see people wearing them. And the story about these two guys who just kept with it and manifested their dreams, and now, like, you know, now they're a household name, you know. And it's amazing to me, those little stories, you know.
So guys, talk to me a little bit about how it was now. Like, so you said before we were talking about a little bit like just starting with the bus. You said you invested like $2,300 into like, and that was the first bus over there.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what was it like then, the first couple of years? Like, were there like learning experiences along the way?
Oh, were there?
Or like, like what was like the first year, the first 2 years look like, switching in your life?
In the words of Jerry Garcia, if we told you what went down in the last 10 years, it'd burn off both your ears. But I mean, honestly, when we first left out, we didn't have a creative outlet that we had locked down like the tie dye or the soap. We didn't. There was no art that we were pushing. We left out. We went and started selling gourmet grilled cheese sandwiches on Dead and Company tour, and we did that for almost 3 seasons, three years of tours stayed primarily on the East Coast, just because it was just too much work to go from one coast to the other because they hop around so fast. And honestly, in between that, we would look for jobs on Craigslist. This was back when Craigslist was a big thing. Little odd and end jobs. Like I've got a strong electrical background, construction background, so that we could find jobs like that all over the place. I'd go and like install, tile in somebody's bathroom, and in between those times when we didn't have work that we could find, we would get out on the corner with a sign and fly a sign, that said "Traveling Broke and Ugly," and in order to get our buses from one spot to another, we would go up and park at truck stops, and we would take a empty diesel jug, and we would walk up to the truckers and ask them if they could spare any diesel, because we did not want to go back to the same lifestyle that we had been living, and we just had faith in ourselves and in the universe that we were on the right path.
Yeah, we're on the right path.
And that there was one day that it would all come together for us. And we just kept believing in ourselves and the lifestyle that we wanted to live. It was definitely very hard the first couple of years, the first 3-4 years of our lives.
We were going to food banks. We were just so broke. I mean, we never went to bed without eating, but it was definitely a way different life than we have now, where we both have our own businesses, and we haven't relied on any kind of government public assistance for over a year now, which is really big for us. And just to get away from that mentality of, I just feel like if you just stick with it, and you, like you said, you just keep going and persevere. And I listen to a lot of Les Brown. He's like a motivational speaker, and he said, if that person can do it and that person can do it, like, why can't you do it? And I'm like,
exactly, yeah.
We can totally do it, and we are doing it, and we've come a long way. And just in the past 5 years, like we have 2 buses, we have business, we're totally self-sufficient.
Yeah, we started making soap in 2016. That was our first production run.
I think I was making soap before he was making tie-dye, but then, right? Like, yeah. And then, he's been doing tie-dye for 3 years, and that's a big thing when you live on the road. A lot of people will say, how do you make money on the road? And I know.
What's the secret? What's the secret? Like, how do you make money on the road?
Yeah, a lot of people who live this lifestyle, you hear about people who like retire from administrative work, like IBM, and like they've got money, but the typical person, like, what do they do? And I'm like, man, if you got like some kind of artistic, creative outlet, I can't advise everybody what to do, but that question does come up a lot, and I feel like I don't know if it was like hit the jackpot, but I really feel like, I'm totally passionate about soap, and he's totally passionate about this tie-dye, and that's half the battle, is just finding what makes you happy. Some people go to work every day and they hate their job, and I feel like I don't know, this is really working out for us.
Yeah, of course. I have, let's talk about a little bit about your kids, if you don't mind, because I think anybody, and especially like when it comes to like, they're like, oh my God, like, how are you traveling and like having kids? And how many kids do you have in total? Like
5.
We have 5 daughters.
Right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
big families. It's great.
Yeah.
how did you do it? Like when the first kid was the first kid before the bus or after the bus?
Yes.
Or?
Well, actually, we found a bus in North Carolina that we were living in. That it was an old MCI bus that we were living in, and it didn't move. We parked it in.
It barely moved. We bit off more than we could chew on that one.
Yeah, it was a bus in Franklin, North Carolina, and we found a spot on the top of the hill, and it was an abandoned lot that we were like up on the hill, and there was a little house there, and we were kind of squatting there, I guess, and we were in this bus, and our daughter was in third grade, I think, when we moved into the bus, so she was still in school, but yeah, so we started out in a non-working bus, and this one here was born in our bus nine years ago.
How does it feel to be born in the bus?
Good.
I feel like it's really important for kids to travel. And a big part of it is to erase prejudices that might take place in these kids' minds. Like we've lived in these little tiny southern towns, like where these people never leave, and they've never seen a black person, they've never seen an Asian person, or had different foods or like heard different accents. And I think traveling really opens your mind to like all of that, all these different foods and churches and temples.
The cultures that you see as you travel, from one side of the country to the middle of the country, to the from the east to the west and north. I mean, it's completely different everywhere you go.
People ask us what our favorite state is. Every state is completely different, but we've been to Buddhist temples, we've been to like all black churches, we've been to Baptist churches. I want my kids to experience everything, and
of course.
And not be like, oh, what's that? Like they already know what that is, and then they've I don't know. I think traveling it's so important to your mental health and your spiritual health. And
Clivey would like to mention her favorite state.
What's your favorite state?
My favorite state is Maryland.
She likes Maryland.
I definitely want to do more traveling because I even feel like every time I've traveled, like my artistic side of my brain has just like been like fed, and just seeing like the different people live and understanding, and like I don't really talk too much like politics on the podcast at all, but sometimes I feel like when people have such a hard opinion on something, but they haven't opened their heart to other people, or even other ways of thinking that people might just be happy with. Like, for example, you would talk about your family and they're like how they don't understand how you live at all. But are you happy?
Indeed.
And it's like, and is everybody in your family healthy?
Indeed.
And like, are you living? It's like, so I feel like sometimes, it's funny. I have this friend who lived in South Carolina, and he came up. He lived in Jersey originally, like he was from here. Moved to South Carolina, completely adopted their culture, the accent, everything, right?
Yeah.
And so he came up here, and he was in full cowboy attire, like boots, hat, jean jacket, jean pants, jean undershirt.
Nice.
I was like, all right, cool. Like you do your thing, man. And it's funny because he was talking about the type of girls he wanted to find up here in Jersey, like going out to some bars over here. And he's like, he's like, I just want a girl who's gonna sit in the house, tend to the kitchen, just cook and all this. And I was just like, yo, you said a tiny girl up here, like I don't know about that. But then all of a sudden, like he was FaceTiming some of his friends and the girls down there, and it was incredible to hear what they had to say too, because some of it's just the culture down there. Like some of the girls down there are just like, I just want a man who's gonna like pay for the house and let me take care of my family, and I'll take care of the homestead. That's what she said. And I was just like, so you just want to do that? Like you don't care about? She's like, that's she's like, I just want to follow God and be with my family. And I was like, I had never considered that you would want to do that. If that's truly what you want in your heart, like how can I judge you? Like that's your thing, like and just the same way, like if you want to live in a bus and raise your family here and live your life, like what's the problem with that? And traveling, I think you only get that from opening your hearts to people and traveling like that.
I don't remember who said this quote, but it's basically like it's like the happiness is the one goal that we all would like to attain, because without happiness you spend your whole life trying to attain that goal. And if you're already happy, you're already it. I mean, if you're happy in life, that's a hard thing for people to attain. They're so wrapped up in their heads, and they're so wrapped up with bills and things. And if you're a trash truck guy, if you are working at Subway, if you're a teacher, whatever you are, if you're a stripper, whatever you do, if you're happy,
That's all that matters.
You've reached the level of like you've reached happiness. Like some people are miserable their whole lives and they're grumpy and they have such a low vibrational energy. And when you're happy, it shines through and people are attracted to you and they want to gravitate towards you and they want to know what is your secret? Like how are you so damn happy? And it's like freedom for me. It's like, and we've been to 47 states. I haven't even been across the ocean, you know. That's a whole different world over there, you know. And I still haven't seen. I've seen a fraction of it, and there's so much more I haven't seen. And every day I've seen, like there are these bugs floating around, flying around, these invasive bugs. I've never seen one of those in my entire life, but now I have. So every
Honestly,
day,
those bugs that you're seeing, the little ones,
Yeah.
the red ones,
Yeah.
they're called lanternflies.
Lanternflies.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They're
No.
actually invasive species from China.
Yeah.
And they just got here to Jersey.
Yeah.
And they've kind of been terrorizing the East Coast. They're terrible for the environment. If you see
Oh.
them, try to kill them.
Oh, what do they do? Eat the crops or something?
They eat the sap from trees, from
Okay.
certain trees, and they're usually like ornamental trees. So it's
Yeah.
not like, you know, like the regular, like it
Like a
wouldn't be
Japanese
deforested.
maple.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and they'll eat the sap from there,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll secrete like I forget what kind of other like sap from themselves, and then the other bugs will go and eat that and like destroy the trees.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they're not. And actually, this year
Yeah.
they've been like crazy. Like last year, you saw a couple.
Yeah.
I've never seen one by my house at all.
Oh,
But
wow.
actually, the entrance to my studio, the door,
Yeah.
there's just a whole bunch of dead ones because they like to
Oh,
hang out.
man.
Like it's almost like a little cubby there. And we
Yeah.
just smash them because they're terrible for the
Jeez.
environment. Yeah.
So the bad bugs.
Yeah, bad
You
bugs.
gotta,
Yeah,
like-
they're bad
and you
bugs.
gotta kill
You-
them
you
because
say
they're
you
bad
haven't
for
seen
the
them, but I'm just like, yeah, me
environment.
neither. I kind of wish they weren't here anymore. But hey,
every
what can you
every
do?
day I'll see something new, like I'll a different flower, or like even if it's like something silly, like like different states you go to, like we'll have different soda or different chips and like different candy bars and things like that.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. It's really cool. Like different terrains, different weather, different trees, different people and accents, and then I think it's really awesome that I get to talk to a variety of people. Yesterday I was talking to a guy from Ghana and his wife from Haiti and another like black girl, and like we're all just like hanging out. We were talking about spiritual things, and I think I think the buses really like bring people together too. It's like a conversation piece. Like if I like people like I walk around the grocery store and nobody really talks to each other. There are people who live next door to each other. Sometimes these people don't even know who their next door neighbor is. They don't talk to people, and I'm very social, and I love talking to everybody because you never know who you're going to meet. That person might be your next contact, connection for business, or that they may have gone. They might give you a suggestion of who's got the best pizza in town, or I don't know. It's really amazing.
The one guy, where were we? That brought us those 2 pizzas.
In Utica.
Yeah, in
Utica, New York.
He brought us tomato pies. Yeah, I shouldn't have even called it a pizza because we called it a pizza, and he was, no. This is not a pizza.
Have you heard
This
of
is a
tomato pie?
I haven't heard of tomato pies. No.
It's like a rectangular shape, like big, like not a pizza, but it's a focaccia bread,
Okay.
and there's like chilled tomato sauce on it, and what
Yeah,
else is
it
on it?
has cheese and tomato sauce.
Parmesan cheese,
cheese.
and it's served chilled, and it seems weird, but it's really
And
good.
there's a little square bread.
And you can only get it in Utica, New York, and like that's the things I live for. Like you're not going to find it anywhere else, but right there in Utica, New York. And
Yeah, no, so
Yeah.
it's funny because I honestly think it's those things that people really miss out on.
Yeah, yeah.
From just looking and traveling and talking to people. So what are some of the adventures that you guys have that you feel like are the most memorable? Like when you
Man.
think back and you're like, this might have to go on my gravestone. I don't know. Or
I really like the West Coast, the redwood trees out there.
ooh.
They are like, just like in the pictures, they're just so big. You might need like 15 people to wrap themselves around one tree, and you just feel so tiny, and you realize how tiny you are. That these trees have been there like way before you were born, and when you die, those trees are just gonna keep going. And I don't know. It's the West Coast. It's really magical. Like if you've ever seen the Goonies, it's like very overcast, and you go to the beach and you just see this. I think this big pirate ship is gonna come by. But it's kind of tough because every state is different. Ohio is really beautiful. I don't know. Every state has its different terrains. And out in Florence, Oregon, it was like the birthplace of like, was it sand surfing or You get those little sleds that you get out here, like for snow, for sledding in the snow, but it's for sand dunes. So people will go and they just slide down these dunes, and I don't know, just crazy things like that, like where I've never seen. I don't know. What's your favorite place? I don't know. It's kind of hard to.
Well, I don't know. It's like a toss-up between Western North Carolina, like south of Asheville, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where there's just an abundance of rivers and waterfalls everywhere. And then probably equal to that would be in Southern Oregon around Eugene. There's a couple hot springs out there.
Oh yeah, the hot springs.
We love finding hot springs. The Umpqua hot springs in Southern Oregon are one of my favorites because it's just they have like pools up top, and then the pools kind of flow down, and so they have a very top one is the hottest, and then they flow down into other smaller pools, and as they go down the hill, and there's a river at the bottom, so you can run down to the river and jump in freezing cold water, and then run back up and jump in the hot spring. I don't know, like I love the outdoors. I love going, just exploring what nature has to offer, and that's one of the reasons why we do what we do, is because we enjoy nature, and we enjoy finding those little spots that don't get frequented by many people.
So how do you guys feel about like when you guys, so there's obviously like, I feel like the friendly people who you interact with, who are on the road, but like, for example, like you've definitely have to been asked this before, like has anyone been like, oh, are you guys like hippies? Like how do you guys identify with the word? Do you think it's bad? Like how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, we really don't identify with that, as hippies, but I'm not offended when somebody calls us a hippie, because a hippie is just basically counterculture, and we're, I guess, the epitome of that, because we are not doing the same thing that everybody else in society are doing. So we're, I guess, considered hippies because we are counterculture, and I don't think it has any kind of negative connotation with it. If somebody says, "Hey, are you a hippie?" I'm like, sure, like. Yeah,
we pretty much like get a good response from places we went that we've been to.
Honestly, the most negativity that we've received, it was up in New York recently. As we were traveling through, we were set up in a parking lot, and this guy just started yelling like gay obscenities at us, and
I don't know if it's because we have a rainbow bus.
He yelled it as we drove by, and then he like went down the hill, and then he yelled two more things out the window at like the top of his lungs, like like as loud as he could yell. And I'm like, you don't even know who we are. You haven't even you're just passing judgment upon people that are sitting up there in a rainbow bus. I mean, and then just the people that the way that people drive in small cars. That. I know, flipping the finger off out at you as you're driving.
It's pretty rare, but it does happen sometimes. But people just don't understand what we're doing or who we are,
But most people are inquisitive. Like when we're sitting in a parking lot, there's people that just pull up and they're like, "What's going on here? What is this? What
are you with the band?
Doing?" Like
are you on
really
fish tour?
Genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
And it's great because y'all have been very friendly. I mean, it's so funny because when I approach people and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I do a podcast for a living. Like I usually get like, are you sure? And especially in Jersey, it's not really popular. I'm one of, I think, 2 other people in the entire state. Unless y'all want to come out and introduce yourselves, please, like in that word. But there's people who come on, who don't even do podcasts. There's one other guy, his name is Sully Bop. I love him to death. He lives on the most western side of Jersey, kind of on like that little like triangle part on the top left side of the state. He lives there, but he's actually thinking about moving out to Texas. And then there's other more podcasts that focus on other things like criminal and that, but nobody who really just goes out and talks to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people really need, and that's what I wanted to bring with what I do. Because I feel like, the conversations, and especially like after we're done with this, is something that I'm going to remember forever and be able to look at as like a time capsule on YouTube, back in, and you guys as well. But I had a question too. When it comes to raising kids, how does that affect their regular life, because what is the age difference between all your kids that you have now?
Our two oldest ones are in Maryland. The ones that are on the bus now are 9, 13, and 14. It's funny because in a typical school environment, people talk a lot about socialization.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you're in school, you might have, I don't know, 25 to 30 of the same age kids in the same classroom day after day after day. And they're only getting the perspective, say, of like all their other 10-year-old friends,
Their peers.
Yeah, and that's all they know is what they're, they're all watching the same shows and eating the same snacks and, have, I guess, the same life experiences. But on the road, my kids are so socialized. It's almost like comedic, like how social, like right now, they're sitting over, they're talking to a couple on the ground. They can, my 9-year-old can go into the grocery store with our card and get the things that we asked and check out and run the card and put the PIN number in and do everything by herself. And they're not afraid to talk to people. They're very self-sufficient kids, and they talk to everyone, and they learn different life skills.
Yeah.
They met fire spinners and, like master crochet artists and painters and so many different people, so many different experiences that, and there are pluses to the public school system, but as far as like socialization and letting them express themselves and be who they are, because they're all,
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
artistic and
I
creative.
think one of our goals for living the lifestyle that we live is to allow them to see how much art and creativity is out there in the world by traveling around to these different places and meeting all these different people and being able to express themselves that way. Like if they want to pick up, learning how to crochet, then we give them the tools. We try to teach them the methods on how whatever hobby or craft or anything that they want to learn, we try to give them those tools so that they can pick that up, and maybe that's they'll find what they're passionate about before they're 39, like I did. So I don't know, we want to give them that exposure to the artistic side of the world first, and then if they decide that they want to go back into traditional society, as I guess as it were, and get a job and get an apartment, then by all
If
means,
they're happy,
if that makes you happy and that's what you want to do. But at least we've given them that opportunity and that knowledge that that's not the end all be all. That there's another opportunity out there. That all you have to do is have faith in what it is that you want to do. Set your mind to it, set your intentions, and you can achieve anything that you want to, just with that, just those simple methods,
Well, we go to a lot of art and music festivals. Our friend Joe puts on a big festival called Pyro. He's been doing it, oh my gosh, 15, 20 years. And
it's 95.
Yeah, he puts on the Pyro Music and Arts Festival in Ohio, and just little things like that, little festivals like that encourage. There's a lot of cultural things. Native Americans are coming out and they're dressed in the full regalia, and they're doing they're dancing and then you'll have some I don't know. It's just a lot of like you said, exposure to different things and like, hey, look at this girl, like she makes hula hoops for a living. And she has a happy life, and all of her friends are vendors, and that's what they do solely. And I'm like, look, you can do this. You can do this and enrich your life and meet these people who just are able to create themselves and they found a life doing that. And I think a lot of the arts are missing. A lot. Making your own things.
Yeah, we definitely need another renaissance of sorts in that sense. And you know what? I think especially as parents, because I obviously don't know how it feels to be a parent, but at least whatever your kids decide to do, like it'll definitely be more solidified within their hearts of what they want to do. You know what I mean?
For
and
sure.
I think that's something that, growing up, I feel like we never finished kind of being kids.
Yeah.
We still have the mentality of, like we grow up and we're like, oh, mom, dad is taking care of this, like they'll always have our backs and they'll always be around.
Yeah.
You get to a certain age where mom and dad aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realize, hey, the trash that always disappeared.
Yeah.
It's not disappearing anymore.
That's right,
It's
yep.
just getting filled, and I think that's kind of what I'm realizing right now. And I commend you guys a lot for that, because I don't think a lot of people could do what you guys do and also give that type of enrichment to their kids, because this is just something completely different. But then also again, in the back of my head too, I'm thinking, I'm like, how do I have that conversation if I was one of your kids, and I was like, how do I have a conversation to my mom and dad that I want to bring like my boyfriend back to the bus? Like, have you had guys have to deal with like the regular like things like that yet, or like no?
No, not really.
Oh, you
No, not really.
Got you.
I think like they'll a lot of the festivals that we go to, we'll go to the same festivals over and over again. So my kids have like their festival friends, and there's been some flirting and stuff, but not like boyfriends. Our older kids are 19 and I think 21. I think she just turned 21. So and they have boyfriends, and but I don't know. It's kind of tough in the sense when you're driving a lot and you don't see your friends on a regular basis. So yeah, but no, not really. But if it came down to that, I mean, my kids are very mature, and
Well, we're open with them. We make sure that they know that there's an open line of communication, and that we try to establish that trust to where they feel comfortable talking to us about
course.
whatever aspect of their life that they need to talk about to us.
and to develop like healthy sexual boundaries, and we're not so naive to know, like, to think that that's never going to happen, or they're not going to develop feelings like that for people, because we were young, and so we're yeah, open lines of communication are very important.
Well, yeah, communication and education. I think that's the key is educating them on what the end result could be should you have sexual intercourse. Or that the person that you meet now more than likely is probably not going to be your boyfriend 2 weeks to a month from now. And I think the fact that we live in a school bus and we travel around makes it difficult for them to establish those relationships, which honestly I'm okay with right now. But it's up to them, if they want to have a short, relationship with somebody while we're, somewhere for a week or two or a month. I mean, it just kind of depends on how long we're somewhere, and then they start, building, friendships and relationships with people, and so we just we take it as it comes, and again, it's just we have that open line of communication, and we try to make sure that they know that we're not going to pass judgment on them for any decisions that they've made, but more so show them love and support for anything that might happen.
Yeah, for sure. I actually been thinking, like, what are some things that you feel like raising kids in the bus, like, you guys deal with, like, problem-wise only, comparative to, like, maybe any other parents that they would, like, deal with?
I don't know. I'd say the biggest thing is space, because we're, I don't know, we live in 320 square feet. So we're always like kind of near and around each other. So everybody just kind of gets a little, I don't know, edgy sometimes, because, well, I'm sitting here, or I want to sit there, or, like, there's only so many spots to go. You can't go sit on the couch in the living room, or go to your room and, hang out in your room, kind of thing. I mean, they each have their own bunk, and, they'll go and hang out in their own bunk if they want some private time. Well, most of the time during the day, Jen and I never go back in our bed, because we're always out doing something. So they'll go and hang out in our bed, because it's it's just a bigger space for them to kind of relax and hang out, and just kind of do their thing, read a book, or go on the phone, or whatever the case may be.
I'm the oldest of 5, and we lived in a house. We still fought all the time. My kids they still fight. I'm not gonna lie, they do fight, but I think this lifestyle is cool, because it allows you to go outside all the time. And when you're in a house, you're watching TV or playing video games, and I like being around my kids all the time and knowing who they are, and getting having conversations with them, and I like seeing them all day. I feel like a lot of times, I mean, parents who they want to homeschool and they can't for financial reasons and stuff. I don't know. I feel like it's nice to to know your kids and to know what they're doing and who they're hanging out with, and that they can trust you to talk to you about things. And
Yeah, of course.
yeah, and um, I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I feel the same way because,
Yeah.
like I said, I mentioned it before that, it wasn't until the last 3 years of my mom's life that I really got to like have her as a best friend and someone who I could talk to and confide into.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why, like in our society today, it's almost like weird, and I
Yeah.
feel like we become friends with our parents if the opportunity is there way too late.
Yeah, yeah.
And you always feel like they don't understand you or you don't know where they are headwise. But
Yeah.
as I've gone to learn and as I've gone to talk to different people, it's always been like, we're all kids, And I
Yeah,
look at them and
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, you're not like just my mom. Like, you're that teenage girl who was pregnant and fell in love and
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
a house in a different country now and you're still learning. Like, I didn't know you could still learn,
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
older.
Well, and you think that your parents are like, you put them on this pedestal like that they know everything, and they don't they're just trying to figure it out too. Like my dad was 18 when I was born. My mom was 21. They didn't know what they were doing. And sometimes people blame their parents for this and that, but they're just young kids, just like we were, and just trying to figure things out. And there's no like manual for everything. It's just like you're just trying to get through life and be happy, and I don't know.
So what advice would you have for people who want to get into this life?
Well, you want to say
Hold on,
something?
hold on.
You can use my mic if you want.
I was just gonna say that the first piece of advice that I would give to anybody that wants to get into the nomadic lifestyle is first set your sights on a home base, like a piece of land, or a raw piece of land that you can come back to and kind of decompress, because that I don't know, I really wish that we either had some family property that was passed down from generation to generation, or we had bought a piece of property earlier on in our lives, before we started traveling, so that we would have that peace of mind to go back to. Because while the road is fun, like I mean, I wouldn't change my life or trade this lifestyle for anything. It can make you weary sometimes, and you never know. Like you're sleeping in a parking lot, and somebody comes up and knocks on your window and at 2 o'clock in the morning asking you what the hell you're doing there, and you got to leave. So while having a piece of property isn't going to mitigate that, just before jumping into the nomadic lifestyle, I think it's really important to have that that home base, even if it's just like a half acre, a quarter acre, 20 acres, whatever it is that you can afford at that time. But make that investment in a piece of property so that you can bring your bus back there and you can work on your bus. You can if you need to do something mechanical to it, or you want to work on the inside of your bus, the way that you built it wasn't suitable for like your needs. As you started traveling down the road, you realize, oh, I don't need this bathtub, or I don't need this in my bus, or whatever vehicle that you're converting. Yeah, I mean, we've been flying by the seat of our pants since we left out on the road. We don't have savings. We don't have a bunch of money laying around, and we don't have any money for emergencies, and we never have in 10 years, because we've had faith that the path that we were on was the right path for our family and for ourselves. So.
Yeah.
In the words of the band that she said earlier, Wookiefoot, one of our very positive inspirational music, they some lyrics from their song are, "Worry will not take away your troubles today, or no, worry will not take away your troubles tomorrow, only your peace today." And I just constantly think of that all the time. If when I'm like, oh man, I don't know, are we gonna be able to eat tonight? Are we gonna be able to have diesel? I'm like, just chill, Chris, just chill, because the
universe provides.
Yeah, the universe provides. I mean, and we've been slowly letting ourselves flow into that just letting letting life happen, essentially,
I would say, do not think it's going to be like these people who make these these Instagram videos. These people
Down by the river.
Yeah, these people will have these buses, and it looks like there's no one like living them there. They're
We call them Instagram buses.
Instagram buses, where it's like it's immaculately clean. Like, you know, I don't know. I would say to not think that your life is. You're not going to be at the waterfalls every day. You're not going to be at the beach every day. You're going to be in a Walmart parking lot sometimes. There's going to be trouble. You're going to have trouble parking places. You know, it's not like there are cons. There's lots of pros, but there are those cons that nobody talks about. That you know.
So what are like the biggest cons you feel like when it comes to this lifestyle?
It hasn't happened in a while, but like I guess getting into a parking lot and thinking you're gonna camp there, and you know they tell you can't. Sometimes it's like 2:00 in the morning. They knock on your door, tell you have to leave. Sometimes, like, you know, the state parks cost money, or like if you're in different states, you have to have it like you'd be a Connecticut resident, or it's double. You know, if you're spending $45 a day, just not even
The whole Northeast, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So like, you know, there's parking issues. There's a lot of apps like iOverlander and stuff that we use that will help us park, but it's not a scenic journey every day, and people. Some people only post the positive things that they're doing, and they don't show you this because it's not. Walmart parking lots are not necessarily pretty. You know, like at the asphalt jungle, it's, you know, you take a picture of the waterfall and you have this, you know, and the mountains and the streams, and it's nice, but it's not like that every day. It's not, and our overall experiences are really good compared to the small bumps that we might have. I think. We always have we always feel like we have like a protective bubble around us, and we don't really ever get messed with. We encounter really nice people, and yeah, but there will be times that you're not in a scenic place. You're gonna parking lot hop, or you're gonna sleep at the truck stop, and you know, and it improves. You know, next day you could be, there's just little things like that where it's not always such a scenic, you know, Instagram worthy, you know, picture that you might want to take. And we've learned, you know, while we're, you know, through over the years, like where to get water. I don't know, like
how to find, you know, dump stations for your black water tank.
Yeah,
you know, she mentioned that iOverlander, and that's one of the apps that we use. It's a peer supported app, so everybody that uses it, you know, if you find a spot, you say you can create like a listing within the app, and then other people can see your review. You know, like, and some people will add pictures in there, but that you can set the filter to where you can see where water is, where propane is, where wild camping is, where informal campsites, dispersed camping, you know, traditional campgrounds. It's just a really useful tool. You know, to find those, you know, kind of back out of the way places that we enjoy going to.
I feel like bus life could like be potentially dangerous. Have you guys like run into any situations like that at all, or like?
It's not too dangerous.
During I've had friends who have had instances like where when Freddie Gray was killed. There was a bus that was driving around New York City, and the cops told them all to put their hands up. It was this weird situation that there were machetes and knives in there, but the one guy was a professional juggler, and he was juggling. So those things, so like, you know, oh, you got a frying pan, you got a cast iron, like this. These are dangerous. This is tools. You have knives, but the people were living in the buses, and I think that's the only time that we ever kind of got nervous about driving is because people. The whole Antifa thing, and thinking that we're protesting and bringing supplies to protesters, it got kind of a little crazy, and then that died down. But we really have never really had a bad experience. We've never had it's been overall a really good experience. We had one time in Vacaville, California, where I'm pretty sure the whole police force was there.
For you guys.
Yeah, we were traveling with, I think there were 7 buses and a U-Haul. We were in a big convoy, and
a converted U-Haul.
Okay.
Yeah, a converted U-Haul with a potbelly pig in it. we drew a lot of attention, and the cops. There must have been 12 cop cars there, a SWAT team there, wanting to look through all of our buses and run all
What
over.
are you doing here?
We were literally grocery shopping.
Groceries?
Grocery shopping at a Safeway.
And you guys said you had a pig in there, like an actual.
My friend had a U-Haul
yeah,
with a pig in it. Yeah, a pig named Amy. So they wanted to search all of our buses and run all of our plates, and I closed my door and I wasn't going to let them in my bus, but I think they kind of realized that maybe it was just like a huge, overwhelming task for them to do all this, and like the cost that would have, incurred to tow these buses away, and they just drove away one by one. So that was a little odd, but that was very rare.
I had gone to do a Craigslist job, and doing some electrical work in this guy's place. So I wasn't there when all of this went down, but I got the phone call while we were finishing up, and the cops are all over the place. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. I wouldn't say like we've ever really felt unsafe or we've been in fear for our lives or anything like that. We've always been in we park responsibly. We do research on the areas that we're going to. We don't go park in inner cities, just not for this, not because of violence, but just there's really nowhere to park, in inner cities that won't give you a ticket, or even anywhere you go, San Diego in Ocean Beach, you go try and park on a back street right there, and they have height limits on the vehicle, that of a vehicle that you can't park a vehicle that's over 7 feet tall in certain parts of California and all on the coastline, and we've never.
I think
we've
so
never
too.
really
Like
felt threatened or been threatened.
Yeah, if you draw negative attention to yourself, if you sometimes if your bus is painted up kind of like too artsy or something, or you're playing loud music, or if you got a bunch of dogs or something, and I don't know. I feel like we get positive attention more than anything else, and people are just interested. Like kind of how we see Amish people, like we're just, like we want to learn about their lifestyle, and people want to know about our lifestyle. And I feel like this is so second nature for us to do this that it doesn't feel weird to us. I don't feel like we're like in some kind of countercultural like niche, I don't feel like it's weird because I'm so used to it. But I can understand how people or because I don't ever see this, even though we do this as a living. I rarely see, unless we go to Arizona in the winter, and there are lots of other buses. There might be weeks or a month or more that we pass another school bus, like people living in it, and so I get like why people are think it's pretty cool, and I like the social interaction. It's nice. But
so how do you feel like social media has now kind of impacted the way you guys do stuff? Because I think there's an interesting thing to think about how usually like a nomadic lifestyle, you're kind of away from, not necessarily away from people, you're around a lot of people, but it's very analog, right? And whereas in when you get into the digitized space, you're talking about your Facebook group, it started small. How does it feel now to have grown it so much? What is it like interacting with other people on the internet?
You want to answer that one?
It's your group.
You started it. The school bus group that I started about 6 years ago, Skoolie Planet. It started out kind of slow, and we might pick up I don't know, in a week and a half, 2 weeks, we might have another 1,000 people who joined. I almost feel like I know it sounds weird, but I almost feel like a church at certain points, that we're a traveling church. That people kind of come to us, and I wouldn't say we converted people over, but we planted the seed in people's heads to
inspiration,
bus life. And we've had so many people who'd be like, hey, I got a bus now, and hey, check out my new bus, and then they'll start their own journey of freedom, mm-hmm. and it is so much freedom, and I feel like being out there and seeing we invite everybody in the bus to see what it looks like and what you can do with the bus, and that it's possible. And I feel like we've inspired a lot of people to to cut the drop the or I don't know, cut the cord. People have a hard time leaving their jobs. They like getting that paycheck every Friday, and it's security to them. It's okay. She's okay. They like that. They appreciate that paycheck every Friday, and it's such a secure thing for them, and it's scary for people to leave their job and leave that one secure thing that they have, their money, and just to go out and try just to do it. And I think that's probably the best thing. I see that I've seen this group grown into 77,000 people, people who are either interested in bus life or who, some people live in their vans, but they want to, aspire to either have a bus or to break away and to literally just drive off and into the sunset and live their own life on their own terms. And that's the most important thing, I think, is that showing people that you can do it. It's very doable. And, you can buy a bus for like $2,000 and you can convert it into anything you want it to be. But then you have that home that people can't take away and you own it. And I don't know, there's so many adventures that you can have, It's just, it's amazing what you can see and the people that you'll meet. And I don't think we would be doing this if we were in a house. I wouldn't be meeting all these people. I wouldn't have met you if I wasn't in this parking lot. And it's not for everybody, but I think if you just, I don't know, like people are just miserable, and I think if you could show them that there's a different ways. There's different routes. You don't have to go through 12 years of high school and then 4 to 6 years of college and do what and to get a degree and then you have so much debt. You spend your whole career, most of it, paying back to college. And it's just there's other ways to go about it, And
the numbers now are crazy. Like I have a friend who's $240,000 in debt just for school.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
youch.
Yeah, and you're gonna get a job that pays you what, like $60,000 for the first 10 years?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, it's wild. I'm gonna double check how we are doing on time.
Okay.
Just so I could. Oh yeah, we're doing great on time, guys.
Okay.
So what does the future look like now for you guys? Like, although I feel like in this lifestyle, I mean, this is what I think, like it's probably like a day-to-day, month-to-month type thing. But like, do you guys have any future aspirations of what you guys want to do or any goals, or you kind of just, taking it as it comes?
Yeah, I think we're always on the lookout for some land. We did have 22 acres in Missouri that we bought with another family, and it didn't work out. Sometimes you think you know people and you don't. So that didn't, but we're not giving up. We are so, I don't know if it's stubborn or just like we feel it in our hearts to eventually find some land that we want to turn into. We have this dream of finding land that we can turn into an intentional community and have people move there and
have organic gardens and schoolhouses and libraries,
community kitchens and
community kitchens, and everybody can live together and grow together, not just food, but grow as a bigger family. So we've that's one of the things that we've struggled with. We've gone to several communities thinking, hey, that with an open mind, and we get there, and then it's not what we expected. So we, the time and energy that we've put into it is just, a wash. So we continue. Okay, well, the universe is not ready for us to settle down yet. So out on the road we go again, which is, what happened recently, about a year ago. We had, like she said, we bought that property in Missouri with a couple, and we split the cost of it, and then things didn't work out. So a year ago we set sail again in the buses, and we went from having one bus to two buses, and we don't drive two buses around because it's just cost prohibitive for us to, especially now at $6 a gallon for diesel is just,
it's ridiculous.
It's killing us. So we're that's why one of the main motives for us to go to Tennessee is to go work on this community that's been there in existence for 10 years or so now, and there's a couple families there. One of the guy who owns the property is a good friend of ours, and that was one of the communities that we went to when we first embarked on this journey. We were on the road for, I don't know, 2 months, and she found out about this community, and we went down there, and there was just a lot of negativity going on. They have like an open door policy, so pretty much anybody could just show up at any time, and there was a lot of people who were really big into drinking, which your vibe attracts your tribe. Back then I was a big drinker. I drank a lot of whiskey, every night, and so that's the mindset that I was in, and that's what I've learned is that's why that instance happened the way that it did, was because of the alcohol, and the alcohol that had taken over my life. And honestly, the road is what sobered me up, because when I'm driving a school bus, and you never know where you're going to end up, or who's going to knock on your door at 3:00 in the morning. I can't stumble to the door and say, hey, oh yeah, sure, I'll move it tomorrow when I sober up, because then they're going to call the cops, and then the cops are going to show up, and that's it just goes downhill from there. So I haven't had a drink of alcohol in probably
Although you weren't like an alcoholic, you're just like it became a habit, every night. And I think it was like probably from stress. He was working these jobs.
I get no, thank you. I would have considered myself an alcoholic. When you're drinking 175 of whiskey every 3 days, with a splash of Coke on top, and just to relax, and it was like my release from the day of work and the stress, and like, okay, now I'm home, now, like, then because my family were big drinkers. Like every event every party, every vacation that we went on, it was always drink. Everybody, who needs a drink? Everybody was just drinking all the time, and I don't want to live that life anymore. Like, I don't know. I don't know where were we going from there?
No, it's okay. This happens all the time.
Went down that rabbit hole.
No, it's okay. It's perfect. This is the place to go down rabbit holes. This is the place to go down rabbit holes. I think we kind of stemmed this from, again, when we were just talking about like your future goals, where you guys see yourself in a couple years, maybe 10 years from now. And,
honestly, the goals that I have are first and foremost. Find a place where we can we can settle down with our family, and our family can have that peace of mind, and it's something that I want to be able to pass down from generation to generation, so that our kids don't have to worry about it, and their kids don't have to worry about it, and their kids don't have to worry about where they're going to find land, or like that, because that's one of the biggest things in my life is just having somewhere that I could call home, somewhere that our kids could call home. I mean, our bus is home for us, because our friend Kaya has some words up on his bus that says home is where you park your home is where you park your bus, which is true for us, but
but it gets very tiring driving and traveling,
weary,
and
traveling on the road, you're always trying, you wake up in the morning and we try to figure out where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and because it's always new. There's no like repetition in what we do, so we're always trying to find the next adventure, because we're kind of like experienced adventure junkies, and I like going on those off the wall hikes and waterfalls, and then
where ideally do you guys see like you guys getting like a plot of land?
Where honestly I don't know. I could tell you I like that western North Carolina, like eastern Tennessee kind of region.
And you guys want it like more in the woods, more rural, or
definitely out in the middle of nowhere. Off grid. I don't want any power. We'll drill our own well. I don't want any city water. We'll put a septic tank in. I don't want any I don't want to have to rely on anybody to, like, oh, well, you didn't pay your water bill, now you don't have water, that kind of stuff. So
what does it cost, like, just to get like a plot of land, or like how big of a land, like, you thinking, like, what would be ideal?
The one piece of land that we did settle on was 22 acres, and it had a creek on it for water, and it was in eastern Missouri, 2 hours south of St. Louis. So it was I like the Midwest region, because life is so abundant out there. You know, the trees are green, the grass is green, the rivers are flowing. There's water everywhere, and water is life. So if you don't have a piece of property that has water on it, then it's just a piece of dirt that I don't know. I want to have a piece of land that has a creek or a river that is adjacent to it.
And how much would it be, for example, 22 acres? How much would that cost to even buy?
It cost
much
us
was that place?
$32,000 is what we split with the other family when we bought that 22 acres, and we just bought it outright. And that way we didn't want to owe anybody again.
And you still have to pay taxes on land like that, or
Yeah,
It was
the taxes.
super. What was it, like something silly
like $70 a year.
Oh, okay.
So it was dirt cheap, which is another benefit to having property in the Midwest, or the just getting away from the East Coast and that eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina kind of region, because there's just so much life out there. It's just there's wildlife, there's trees, there's I mean, you go out there, you can breathe the oxygen, you can just everything you do out there, it just smells better. You feel like you're getting more oxygen in your system.
It's Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, places that people might not necessarily think about moving to, and we never consider these places, and
we never
until you're
consider
driving
Missouri.
through there, and it's just abundant resources, water, waterfalls. If you want to go crystal mining, I don't know, and it's very, I don't know, it feels like people have never been out there before. You can go out in the woods.
It's like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
That's where all the good old boys are living. They know what they're doing. They've had that property that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah,
That they've have a couple hundred acres, and when you become mature enough, your parents or whatever kick you down a little 40-acre parcel. And,
yeah.
You can go live your life how you want to live it out there, because there's not that recurring bill, or that payment every month that you have to foot. And
So we're actually coming pretty close to the end of the podcast, but I wanted to open it up to you guys. If you guys want to talk about anything specifically that maybe I didn't get to, or maybe you feel like people should know, or something that's just deep within your heart that you wanted to share.
I don't know. I think one of the things I like to share is what we do for a living.
Oh yes, please. Oh my God, yeah. Hey, you get to that. Please.
So we back in 2016, like we mentioned earlier, my wife and I decided that we wanted to make soap for a living, and so we started making cold process. What was that? Cold process vegan organic soap, and so that's one of my wife's passions is making that kind of soap. It's all bar soap, and then roughly 3 years ago, 2019ish, I was inspired because I've always been in the scene where tie-dye was around, and I was always an admirer. Oh man, that's like that. I'd love to learn how to do that one day. And I didn't really. I never had anybody that would show me how to do it. So I just got on YouTube and just started watching video after video after video, and I would just sit there and pause it and get the fold down, and so that so that's how we support ourselves. I make tie-dye clothing, and that's all I do, and she makes soap, and then we also have some wares that we collect from our friends as we're traveling around. Like this pendant I'm wearing. It's a wire wrap pendant that my friend Nick made, and he makes we get some wire wrapped gems and minerals from some of our friends. We get glass pieces that are hand blown pendants, and pipes, and just all kinds of different pins and patches, and just stuff that really catches our eye. We look for that creative side to what other people out there that we meet in our travels, and we want to bring that to the people that we meet along the road. And so that was one of our motives was to create this store that we could showcase artists as we travel around the country, and we went to different events or venues, and things of that nature. And that's kind of what I wanted to share.
And do you guys mainly just sell your products analogly, like straight
No,
up to
we
people,
are
or do
we
you
are
guys-
definitely plugged into the digital network. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and we just started doing the TikTok video thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so
TikTok's a weird place, man.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, because you can like our kids have been into it for a while, and I'm like, I don't know, and we just got into it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and it's it's cool that you can like start a video and then you can like pause it and then cut to something else, and you can like
you
add
guys
in
could
like
blow up
different
easily
clips
on
and all that
TikTok,
kind of
too.
stuff,
I'm sure you've heard it a million times. Like, you
Oh
guys,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Everybody
because,
tells
like,
us that. Well,
what you have here is so just unique. You know what I mean? Like it would grab anybody's attention.
Every 3 days or so, we try to make a video. Can I have that a minute? We try to make a video, like, I guess every 3 days. We have something called Skoolie Planet Coffee and Tea Talk, and I think we've done like 8 different episodes. And sometimes, I don't know, someone's like, I would just watch you guys pump gas, and I'm like, really? And there's bugs.
Yeah, those dumb bugs, man.
Yeah, so I feel like people, people are like, I'll watch you pump gas. I would watch you guys grocery shop, and so it's Skoolie Planet Coffee and Tea Talk, and we just tell people like, hey, we're live from, the Boonton, Walmart parking lot, and over there's a car show going on, and it seems like mundane to us, like it is like do people really want to know what we're doing? But
we've been getting some pretty good feedback from it. Like people
yeah,
that are watching it, and they're like, man, I can't wait to turn it on and see what you guys are doing and where you've been and what you have to say, and they're genuinely interested in our lifestyle, and
they live vicariously through us. People who can't travel, and they want to know like, what's the beach look like in North Carolina, or what kind of food do you guys have out there? Like what are you doing? Where are you going? Like even like filming the drive like here and there in the bus, and people are interested in all of it. And it encourages us to keep going and making these videos. And,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like said he made the tie-dye, he also made me too.
not only do I make tie-dye, yes, but I also make children. So yeah, so the name of our soap company is Shakedown Soap Works, spelled just exactly how it sounds, and you can find that on Facebook or Instagram platform. And then my tie-dye company is called Dire Wolf Apparel, which is it's DYER, like you would spell like tie-dye. So yeah, she came up with the
Tie-dye
name.
and
Also on
soap.
Facebook or Instagram.
tie-dye, soap, and pins and necklaces.
And we have a website, that we started a website, but we haven't really had like the time to like sit down and like to put our hearts into designing the website and getting it in a functional format for that's more user friendly when
Skoolie
people come in
Planet,
there,
guys.
to go shopping or whatever it is. But we wanted to have like one website for all of our products so that if you're in there, you may be just shopping for soap, but you're like, oh, I didn't know these people make tie-dye too, or
Yeah.
I didn't know that they have these glass pieces from Travis that they picked up in Illinois along their travels. So we want to have that as an outlet for not only us as artists, but for artists that we meet along the way, our friends who are artists that may not have that opportunity or the time to get their information and their lives out there. We want to try and be that vessel for them to be successful and continue that encouragement for them to keep going down that artistic path that they've chosen.
Yeah, and definitely that this lifestyle is it's very attainable. You can go to your local school bus yard where they retire the school buses and get a bus for $2,000, and I think maybe Instagram has you thing, and you need like $70,000 to buy a bus, because they do go for that much, and they're converted. They're expensive, and I think it might scare people away. But we don't have. I mean, he has the brain, like mechanical brain, but we didn't get into this lifestyle like with any knowledge of any of this. Just that we wanted to have a freer lifestyle. And nowadays there's so many resources out there, so many school bus groups on Facebook, and there's groups for women, there's groups that they feel safe traveling together. There's like something called Skoolie Palooza in Arizona, where I think this might be like maybe January out there. They have a big meetup of school buses, and last year there was like 330 buses out in the desert.
Wow.
So, and it's just getting bigger, like they've had to change a location. that you don't need to be Instagram famous. You don't need to have a shitload of money to do this. Anybody can live this lifestyle if you want to, and we really encourage people to try it, or like to try to get out there. Whether you live in a van, or you start out in your car, you don't have to
or
live
even
in a
an
bus.
RV,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a bus.
but just find freedom and happiness.
The best advice I can say is get outside and do it. If that's the life that you want to live, then you need to make up your mind and jump feet first into it, because there's no other life out there. Like if you're going to sit there and just keep thinking about it, then you're going to be full of regret if you never pull that trigger.
We've talked to old truck drivers who oh, I really like that, and one day, but I mean, one day you'll be dead.
You're 70 already.
And I'm like, it's sad, but one day you'll be dead, and you'll wish that you would have wished that you could have just done it, just broke off and just tried it at least, and even if there's nothing to go back to, and you just find your tribe, you find people who have the same interests, and that it's totally attainable. And like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money or have a ton of TikTok followers. You don't have to be this I don't know, and you'll have you just live the best life ever, and
yeah, just live the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I do have one more question for you guys before I let you guys go, and something that I usually ask all my guests. If you could go back to any moment in your life, let's say either the lowest point of your life or a part where you really felt like you needed guidance, what would you say to yourself then as who you are now?
I would say hang in there, because I've been at the lowest points in my life where I didn't even want to be around anymore. And when you're in that dark space, you don't think that it gets any better. And I feel like my adventure's just begun. I've been doing this for 10 years, and sometimes I just feel like this is day one of my eyes have just been opened up, and all those years of just riding that bus to and from school, hanging out with a bunch of people who I didn't fit in with and didn't like me, and I was the weird girl. That was my life on that bus. And if anybody would have told me, hey, this bus that you're driving back and forth, this is going to be your life and you're going to travel in this thing, and I would have never ever ever thought that. I would have never thought that was a life, that was even a thing, that I could live in the that thing that I hated, that I went back to school and every day, and it took me to the place I didn't like, and that would have been my home, and that I wouldn't have wasted so many years waiting tables and doing this and doing that. And I'm glad I did have those experiences, because it
defines who we are now.
And had I never washed dishes or waited tables or even good things and stupid things in my life, I wouldn't be right here where I am. And that I think sometimes things look totally shitty and you're like, man, what am I doing? And you know what? You could be in a Bentley driving around with a Rolex on and you're still wondering, what am I doing? The homeless person's like, what am I? We're all nobody knows what they're doing. We're all walking each other home, is what the saying is, Ram Dass. We're all just walking each other home, and just to be the shining light, and just be a high vibrational, have this high vibrational. It's not going to be like that every day, but if you just do the best you can, and just
I'll do the best.
There's a song about that too, and I was having a terrible day yesterday, but this too shall pass, and not every day is going to be a great day, but if you just hang in there and just focus on that goal, focus on your goal, and why can't you get there? You can, if you want it bad enough, you got that line in you, you're going to do it, and you're not going to be like, oh man, I should have done this and I could have done that, and man, if I would have had more money, I would have done that. And just do it right now. Just stop. You don't need money.
Be here now.
Oh, if it was just Friday, or if I just had a different pair of pants on, or if I just had more hair on my head, or if this and this and this, if I just was more in shape, maybe you'll never be it, and maybe you'll never be. Just do it. Just I would say just do it. And what's the worst that could happen? I don't know. If you never ever try and never jump off that cliff, or never, raise that anchor and sail out into uncharted territories. It sounds very cliche, but have had we never jumped on the bus, I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, but it's the best decision that we've ever made is to,
travel and do
Yeah,
your
and-
thing.
yeah, and we're not even done yet. There's still so much to see and still like so many more people to meet and that we're supposed to meet. There's no accidents or coincidences. It's all meant to happen, and they say you make plans, you make all these plans and God laughs in your face like, no, you're going this way. The universe says you're going this way and just go with it. Go with the flow and stop trying
Whatever the frick you want.
to control everything because it's already the universe already knows where you're going and I
was gonna say, I think to answer your question, for me personally, I would say, just remind yourself to have faith. Like just stay the course, persevere. Which is what we've always done. So I honestly I wouldn't want to go back and change any part of my life.
Yeah.
Or give myself a hint or anything like that because. Like she said, and the journey is what makes you who you are, and I think if anything, I would say try to pay attention to the signs that the universe is putting in front of your face, more so than anything, because there's a lot of signs that we just ignored and just drove right through that barricade, and had we been more aware of the signs that were in front of us, that were the series of events that led up to a certain situation, and then you look back and you reflect upon, how did I get here? Why am I here in this certain situation? Then you start looking back, and maybe not for for regret.
I don't want to cut you off, but our inverter's beeping, which means that the power will go off soon, so that the lights will go off in a little bit. So,
Okay.
right?
All right.
All right, guys. So real quick, just let the people know where they can find you and all your social medias, and we'll close out.
Okay, on Facebook, you can find us on Skoolie Planet.
Direwolf
Tie-dye page is
Apparel.
called Direwolf Apparel. It's DYER, Direwolf Apparel,
Shakedown
and
Soapworks.
our soap company is called Shakedown Soapworks.
And then we also have the website.
And we have
Yeah,
a
website.
shakedownsoapworks.com, where you can order our stuff, our tapestries, or tie-dye, or soap, everything we make and sell. You can find it online, shakedownsoapworks.com.
Or in person.
Or in person.
Like,
if you see us driving on the road, if you see us parked, please stop by and feel free to talk to us. And we give people tours of the buses and
Like we sell tie-dye like this.
yeah, and we finally put the letters on the back of the buses so people can follow us.
Yeah, our
we're
social media.
Skoolie Planet on Instagram, Skoolie Planet on TikTok. We just kept it all the same just so people could find us and trying to increase our social media presence. And yep.
And if you ever see a rainbow bus driving on the road, it has our Instagram and our Facebook.
Awesome. And guys, y'all already know the business. Ayoo Podcast, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you guys find podcasts, you'll find us. And all right, guys. I'll get out of here, but you guys will be here.
Our
Right?
first interview. It went
Thank
pretty
you guys
well.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
That was so fun.
That was a lot easier than I anticipated.
Now we poured it out.